דיבר אדוני אל משה, אחרי מות שני בני אהרון, בקרבתם לפני אדוני וימותו. Adonai spoke to Moshe after the death of the two sons of Aaron, who died when drawing close, too close to God's presence. The mystery of this opening sentence of this week's parsha has haunted generation upon generation of readers. Most of them seem to agree that Nadav and Avihu, the sons of Aaron who died, bringing their unauthorized fire, were at fault. They broke the rules and were punished. And so the text seems to support it, because right after they die, we see a whole list of the rules of sacrifices that follows. The idea being that now Aaron and the future priests after him would know how to serve God without risking their lives. However, there is a commentator who had a completely opposing point of view. Rabbi Chaim ben Moshe ibn Attar, in his commentary, approximately 18th century, Or HaChaim writes, they approached the supernal light out of their great love of the holy, and therefore died. Thus they died by a divine kiss, such as experienced by the perfectly righteous. As mortal beings, we fully realize that we cannot live forever. But what is even more frightening and difficult for us is the notion that our death, and therefore the way we had lived our lives, might be devoid of meaning. Nadav and Avihu must have been punished because they did something wrong. No, they were perfectly righteous and their end was their reward. Either way, you can see that the commentators are asserting that their death could not have been a random act, a careless mistake. As we walk in real time through the valley of the shadow of death, it is not so much that we fear no evil, but we fear the random, seemingly random nature of this virus. Who shall burn by high fevers, and who shall remain asymptomatic? Whose lungs shall drown in fluid, and who shall perish by organ failure? Even the doctors cannot always predict the course taken by the virus in one's body. They see people outside of high-risk groups who are severely affected, and people with many underlying conditions who somehow miraculously survive. Psychology tells us this feeling of uncertainty, fear of the unknown outcome, is even more stressful for our bodies, for us, than simply waiting for an anticipated event, however sad it might be. Just the uncertainty itself, even if nothing particularly bad happens, can plunge us in the depth of mental anguish. Who knows what stress and uncertainty were ravaging the minds of Aaron's sons before they chose to take those desperate, extreme measures of approaching God? Were they perhaps jealous of their uncle Moshe and his unique, close relationship to God? Or were they praying for somebody's healing? Were they trying to strengthen their position of priestly power? Or in God's nearest, they were seeking reassurance during their seemingly endless time in the wilderness? We'll never know, for the text does not share with us the specific reasons, good or bad, that prompted the brothers to get too close to God. Instead, the second part of this week's double parsha, Kedoshim, offers us a different, although perhaps counterintuitive solution. The Torah teaches us that when we wish to find ourselves closer to God, we should instead turn towards our fellow human beings, and through many small, concrete, deliberate acts, treat them with fairness, kindness, integrity, and love. Then shall we be as close to God, as godlike, as humanly possible. Kedoshim tiyu ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. Be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. And so, just as we find ourselves overcome by fear of both known and yet unknown dangers, as we feel particularly lonely and in need of spiritual connection, this week's Torah portion urges us to find that closeness in caring for other people. When I feel most tempted to barricade myself from the world, the Torah insists that I should instead open my heart and my hand to care for the stranger, ease the burden for the poor, and love my neighbor. We cannot know what difficulties still await us or when our final day might come. But in responding to the Torah's demand to become holy, like God, we can find ourselves building a life of purpose, filled with meaningful connections to our community and a sense of closeness to the divine. Rabbi Akiva famously said, "Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha," love your neighbor as yourself. Ze klal gadol b'Torah. This is an essential principle of the Torah. Amar Rabbi Akiva, Amar Rabbi Akiva, Amar Rabbi Akiva, Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, Ve'ahavta Stay safe and stay connected. Shabbat Shalom.